So 25 years old, don't worry. Any mistake is an income, is a wonderful revenue for you. So I told myself and told my young people, before 20 years old, be a good student. When you do entrepreneur, just learn some experience. Before 30 years old, follow somebody. Go to a small company. Normally in a big company, it is good to learn processing. You are a part of a big machine. But when you go to a small company, you learn the passion, you learn the dreams. You learn how to do a lot of things at one time. So before 30 years old, it's not which company you go, it's which boss you follow. It's very important. A good boss teaches you differently. And from 30 to 40 years old, you have to think very clearly, you're working for yourself if you really want to be an entrepreneur. When you're 40 to 50 years old, you have to do all the things that you are good at. Don't try to jump into the new area. It's too late. You may be successful, but the rate of dying is too big. So 40 to 50, think about how can you focus on things that you are good at. But when you are 50 to 60 years old, work for the young people. Because young people can do better than you. So rely on them, invest on them, making sure they're good. So when you are over 60 years old, spend time for yourself. On the beach, sunshine, right? It's too late for you to change normally. But this is my advice to the young people. 25 years old, make enough mistakes. Don't worry. You fall, you stand up. You fall, you stand up. Enjoy it. I mean, 25 years old, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
I think today people worry a lot about the world, about the economy, China, economy in the world, but I'm very optimistic. When people start to worry, that is the opportunity is. I worry about the blood testing, and she created good things. And I think great innovations, great companies always happen in the tough times. Life's like the music. You have up, you have a down, you have a long, you have a short notes. And I like the American movie, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get, right? So I'm pretty optimistic. The opportunity in the future for equality is huge, because in the last century, the IT is for big companies. The globalization is for big companies. But now with the technology, we can serve those 80% of the companies that never been served. We can serve the 80% of the young people that have never been served. Technology for internet is so cheap, so easy to use. One of the reasons why we grow in China e-commerce so fast, much faster than the USA, because our infrastructure of commerce in China was too bad. When it is too bad, something happens and goes. Today we are working on the rural areas of China. I can never imagine that China, about 800 million people still live in the rural areas, are farmers. And there are about close to 200 million people. Their income is less than $1 per day. And before the internet, it's impossible for these guys to reach the PC because it's so difficult. Even people like me, I don't know how to use a PC. But now 80% of the farmers, those people using mobile phones. When you have the mobile phones, the internet, the data, things change a lot. So I'm excited about the future. People always worry. That's the, I love the young kids sitting there and talking about the dream, the hopes, because if they have the hope, we have the hope. That's what I believe.
And let's just take what you do. And I've loved every description I've ever heard about how you serve people, and your story about the bamboo farmers and your wife and her friends. It was fabulous. But where's this going? What are you going to do? What are your plans to maximize the use that people in remote rural areas of China can make of their cell phones besides ordering your projects? How are you going to get it? Are you going to get them in the banking system through cell phones? How?
Well, we we never know that we can grow so fast. In the past 5 months, we covered 4,500 villages. And these people, normally they using very traditional way. It took them like we went to a rural area. It took the farmers 2 hours to walk to the downtown in the middle of the town and buy things. But today, because the mobile phone, and we can deliver things to their home, to their village within 72 hours. I remember last week I read a very interesting news. This is amazing. There is a girl, she told me a story. She said her grandfather, 92 years old birthday. And for his life, he always wanted to try one Western style food. But he lived in the rural areas. There's no such restaurant food. So she said, I tried on the internet, book a restaurant dinner for Western food, delivered to that village. And they finally immediately find one restaurant. There are 3 guys. They took like a 3 days bus from Shanghai to that village, made Italian spaghetti and beef for them for this 92 years old birthday. And whole village was excited. Everybody said, wow, we can order food, Western style food. So buying almost everything. And also we're helping, there are a lot of farmers, they plant a lot of apples, great apples. But 90% of the apples rotted because there's nobody buy them. They normally buy by track. If you sell the apples, they sell whole track. And using the traditional way, they can sell by whole basket of the apples. But now, because of the internet, they sell by one. Each apple they sell $1, or 1 RMB or 2 RMB for each. So the farmers see using internet, they can buy and sell using the mobile phone. That changed their lives, and I think it's exciting. And people need examples when they see, well, my neighbor made money through online to selling things. My neighbor buy much interesting things online. People start to learn, and more people start to buy the mobile phones. We cannot make all the mobile factories to sell phones to them. Only they know the mobile phone really works, helping change their lives, they start to buy the mobile phones.
Just one more question. Do you think this will make the current problems like the current problem in China less likely? That is, if we'll have more market information and the market will drive where the investment goes, instead of the government trying to make judgments about, I better build another housing development or office development here, there, or yonder, and you wind up with a bubble. Well, if it comes from the bottom up, is it more likely that fewer bad things will happen?
Yeah, I think the last week I was in Seattle discussing about the China economy. I think you American people worry too much about the China economy. Well, you see, every time when you start to worry about China goes better. Every time you think China is a problem, we'll get better. But when you have to say, you have a high expectation of China always a problem. Like parents have the expectation of the kids, are the same. But there's a big difference between American consumption, because people say, well, the economy is bad, so China consumption will be good low. No, totally different. You Americans love to spend tomorrow's money. And the other people's money, maybe. Or maybe the children's money. We Chinese love to save money. We are probably the largest country, the safe deposit in the whole world because we've been poor for so many years. When we make money, we put in the banks, because someday we know the disaster is coming, so we can spend the money. So when the economy is bad, we still have the money to spend. You guys probably don't. You worry. And the second thing is that China been focusing on developing for the past 30 years. China government so strong on investment, so strong on exporting, but they are too weak on the domestic consumptions. Domestic consumption is not driven by government, it's driven by entrepreneurship, driven by the market, not the government. So in the past 2 years, past 20 years, government is so strong. Now they're getting weak. It's our opportunity. It's our showtime to see the market economy, entrepreneurship, how we can develop the real consumption. I think if the China developed the great consumption, we have a 300 million middle class. In next 15 to 20 years, we're going to have 500 million middle class. We need to import a lot. So when we start to import, that's a great. It's going. I worry a lot when we export. When we export, we got a terrible sky, we have a terrible water, we have a terrible environment. When we start to import, we got to be better. So that's all the great opportunity, guys. Be happy about that. I'm serious.
I agree with that.
I'm serious. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why I give confidence to a lot of young people in China. If Jack Ma can be successful, 80% of the people can be successful. People like her, we're jealous. Well, equality, I would like to make a little bit of technology helping, because yesterday I was joining the UN Women Conference about gender equality. And I think the first technology revolution happened 200 years ago in the UK, released the human body, the arm, stronger. The second technology revolution in the USA for energy, you can last long. But this technology revolution release the brain. So this century is not a competition who is stronger, whose muscle is stronger. It's who is smarter, who is soft, who can listen. It's the challenge of wisdom. So man and woman equal. On the internet, you can never see he's a woman or man. And on the internet, women can serve much better than men on the internet. Men talking about the business, talking about numbers, competition, they make business very cold. Women, they make business very cozy, lifestyle, and interesting. 50%, more than 50% of our shop owners, more than 5 million shop owners are women. And people love that. I mean, this is a great thing. I see that this century, we see more and more women leaders, on the state leaders, the presidents. In the future, we're going to General Secretary of the United Nations should be a woman leader. And this is the great century for equality. And I feel excited about that.
Let me ask you, we're almost out of time, but one of the things that we haven't talked enough about here, and not just here, but generally, is whether the leapfrogging we saw with cell phones, which was instrumental in your phenomenal business success and which will make it possible for you at the appropriate time to do what you've done on a global scale, hitherto unimaginable in all of human history for anybody to have any of their own health data. We've seen examples, but not the kind of dramatic penetration we need with energy and clean energy, and enough in a short enough time to avoid the worst consequences of climate change. So do you believe that, your country has done more than anybody else to try to put up solar panels, and some of your companies went broke because you overdid it, right? But beforehand, and you got to work out the phase out of the coal, the phase into the sun and all that. Meanwhile, Africa, which is growing like crazy because of the cell phone in no small measure, and has 6 of the fastest growing countries in the world, still has vast swaths of its land totally dark at night. Do you believe that it's possible for us to scale up with distributed solar power rather than centralized as quick as we did with the cell phone? And if so, and if that were your business, if you had to quit what you're doing today and start there, how would you do it? And how would you do it?
Lady first, I know that.
I'm such a huge believer in technology, and I think especially right now, we're at an incredible time in terms of new technology and the ability to apply technology in a scalable way towards solving some of these problems. So I would look at it in the context of some of the renewable solutions that we already have, and in the context of empowering, connecting individuals with access to those solutions, and in the context of creating markets around them. I think that there's real opportunity to actually create an ecosystem in which people can financially benefit from these solutions, and I think that's going to drive an adoption. I think in developing economies, there's a revenue stream associated with that, and the more we can turn even already some of the technologies that we have into markets, the more that we can fuel, I believe, local growth and individual engagement in beginning to adopt some of these solutions.
And just related to that, Jack, you answer it, and then I'll ask you one final question.
Yeah, I am a strong believer that technology can make world much better, because people say China economy is getting slower. I'm happy about 7%, even 5%. Even 5% of the GDP of the number of China, of the second largest economy, is big enough. But you don't expect China to keep on growing 11%. Because like one human body, when you are 1.8 meters tall, you cannot keep on like a 10% grow every year. You have to grow the quality, your mind, the wisdom. So I think China needs new technology to solve these problems. And which today, the data, the clean technology, all these things that China is supposed to do, if we keep on the tradition, the old ways, we'll go nowhere. This is why I feel excited, because people ask me, what is your dream now? Because I never thought I would be today. I can sit here talking to president. I'm like a guy, on the street, and like failed 3 times for university, 5 times for high key schools. I applied for 10 times in Harvard school, all rejected. I never thought, because of the technology, because the internet gave me this opportunity. So I think when I retire, I don't want the Chinese people have a terrible water to drink, unsafe for food, and the money we make all spent in the hospital. That's disaster. So how we can using the technology to enable young people, the great chance of this world, don't worry about it. We got 1.4 billion people who were born in 1980s. They are the people of the internet times. They are going to have new ways to solve the world problems. The things you are worried about today, they can solve it. And human beings have these kind of worries for centuries. And young people can always solve it. And today, when you have a right direction, clean energy, the climate change, all these issues, they will be solved, and these are the great opportunities ahead of us. How we can using all the problems that change the problem become the opportunity. And I don't know, I just feel excited when people talk about problems. I think think about, if you can solve one of them, that's the chance. And today, nobody live in this century has so many opportunities and so many tools they can use to change other people's life. And I think in the last century, which I call the IT time, this century is called the DT time, data technology. IT is to empower yourself, make yourself strong. DT is to empower the others. When you empower the others, you empower your future, yourself. So when I listen to you talk, I agree, and I think that's why we were born in this century. That's why how we can use the internet to help more people.
Let's give them a hand. Thank you.